I'm gonna come right out and say it. I absolutely despised the second DLC installment for Dark Souls 2, Crown of the Old Iron King. The enemies were difficult, the level was a maze, and the bosses took me hours on end to beat. And yet, despite all this, I was as addicted to Dark Souls 2 more than ever. Crown of the Old Iron King takes you back in time, when the Old Iron Keep hasn't sunk into ruin, but still hosts a deadly array of enemies. It's clear there's a slightly more focus on the lore this time around, even if I still can't grasp how it ties into everything as a whole. Fiery idols whisper horrible-sounding incantations as they provide various buffs for surrounding enemies, and ash figures crumble away as you tread the outside of Broom Tower. There's a distinct emphasis here on the level design. Broom Tower has a sense of verticality to it, and you'll do everything from activate lifts, traverse large chains to adjacent towers, and scale crumbling facades all on your way to the boss room. The design is certainly a step up from usual Dark Souls 2 fare, but I found the stone hallways and ash-covered ledges less interesting to traverse than the previous DLC, which had me actually altering landscapes to get to where I needed to go. Enemy design, however, continues to improve, providing both unique challenges and an interesting aesthetic. It's unfortunate that the game feels the need to throw mobs of them at you all at once, artificially creating difficulty where it wasn't needed. More than once I had to rely on killing an enemy enough times so it wouldn't respawn before I could successfully clear a room. Moments like this were frustrating and too frequent to make the game particularly enjoyable. Lastly are the boss fights. The Fume Knight is the grand finale of the DLC, and he proved more of a challenge than I initially thought he would. After hours of trying, I finally realized I had to completely change the style I had been using since the first Dark Souls. While it was a frustrating experience, I can't help but think I became a better player because of the challenge. This was the same case with the two optional bosses, where you had to run down a challenge room gauntlet before getting a chance to fight them. These gauntlets proved more frustrating than anything else, as the game tries its absolute hardest to prevent you from running straight through. This made trying to get to these bosses a tedious and difficult experience that caused much unnecessary grief. In the end, one of the two bosses was a fun, fair fight that provided enough challenge to be fun without being too easy. The second, however, was a reskin of the Smelter Demon, made all the more infuriating by higher buff stats and extremely questionable hitboxes. Again, I had to readjust my entire strategy to beat him, a feat which definitely made me a better player, but was just an added frustration after having to readjust and revert strategies twice in the same level area. Many players will probably relish the extreme difficulty of the Crown of the Old Iron King. While I enjoyed the enemy design and felt like a better Dark Souls player at the end of it, the difficulty crossed just far enough into frustrating territory for me that it prevented the level from being a really enjoyable experience. With one excellent DLC and one questionable DLC under its belt, I'm more curious and cautious than ever for the final installment in the coming month.